Good morning, here we are. This is Latin 1, chapter 17. I'm going to be trying to upload this to YouTube, so hopefully if you're watching this worked. I really hate that we couldn't meet today because I feel like for one time in the past several weeks that this stuff actually makes sense this week and may not have been too painstaking. So I guess in a way it's a good week not to meet because I think you can master this okay. It's going to be confusing at first, but it's a matter of just plugging in your endings, and I think it will work for you and you'll understand it clearly. We're in chapter 17, which starts on 165. I'm not going to go through the vocabulary simply because that takes time, and I'm used to doing like these 20-25 minute videos, and I just think that's too lengthy. You've got other things to do today, and you can spend that time more wisely by doing other things. I will draw your attention to a few new adverbs, conjunctions, and prepositions there at the end. So you'll want to take a look at those. I also encourage you to do your vocab cards, and you might want to be looking back at the past several weeks' vocabulary. I know just looking at Delaney's work, I have become slack looking at her vocab and learning all of her vocab with her, and likewise doing a little bit of the same with this. I'm trying to get the content down, but I'm finding that I'm not doing the vocab as diligently as I was. So if I'm not doing it, you're probably not doing it either. So just a reminder there, especially, you know, if you spend 5 minutes a day, what I like to do is just go through and cover up, like on your vocab list, I put my arm over like the English or my arm over the Latin and just kind of quiz myself to see how well I'm remembering them, and try to throw in a few conjugations if I can, just in my mind, like remembering the 4 principal parts. Also paying attention, especially now, to the gender and the nominative and the genitive cases that are listed on every vocab word with the nouns. So we know, especially when you're declining those and moving those into those third declension endings and the I-stem endings, that remember we really need both the nominative and genitive cases. So this is hard to do without a board, and I can't flip my camera because then I can't see myself to know if I'm writing it in a way that makes sense or not. So I'm just going to ask you to really focus on your book and look at this while we walk through this. We're talking about irregular verbs this week, and you probably remember back from our early weeks the verb sum esse. If you look, actually that one's not listed there in your book, but sum esse means I am to be. So the 4 principal parts of that are sum esse fue futurum. I am to be, I was about to be. And we take that second principal part, the infinitive, esse, E-S-S-E, esse, to conjugate that into our first, second, third, singular, and plural. I'm doing this because this is how I do it in my brain. I picture that little chart. So if I'm going to conjugate esse, we're going to remove that S-E ending and use the ES as our stem, with the exception of first person singular and first person plural. So we would have sum es est, sumus estis sunt. So again, the st, mus, tus, unt endings are all on there, okay? Then if we move that to imperfect tense or past tense, let me grab my notes here really quick. I just don't want to get this confused, because if I do and I start off on some weird tangent, then it's not going to make a lot of sense to you. So today we're going to look at, I said we're going to do the imperfect, so do those really quick. So assume as sumus es sunt for present tense. Then we have, eram, eras, erat, eramus, eratis, erant for imperfect. And then we have future, which is ero, eris, erit, erimus, eritus, erunt. So those endings are a little weird, a little irregular. Today we're going to see that we have at the bottom of page 166, you'll see that we've got some new irregular verbs. These are all the infinitives, the second principal part. So we have ire, faire, and pulse. So let's just back up to the first one, ire. Ire is the infinitive of to go. So the four principal parts of to go are listed in your vocabulary here in verbs. It's like the fourth one down. And we will see eo, iri. Then there are two parts for perfect, or the third principal part. Iwi, ii, and then itum. So we have eo, ire, iwi, ii, itum. When we conjugate that, you go to the second principal part. So that would be the ire. We are going to drop that re, and believe it or not, you're left with a one single letter as your stem. That single letter is I. So ire minus that re is I. Then when we conjugate it, if you look at the top of 167, I'm going to go down this chart rather than across, because we're going to see ire in present tense, first, second, third person. So we're going to have eo, is, it, imus, itis, eont. I know you can't see my book, so I'm relying on that you're going to look at yours. So if we look at those, when you're looking at all of those endings in present tense, what do you see in the bold type? ost, mus, tus, unt. Okay? We just have to remember that the first person singular and third person singular have an E in front of it, so it's a little weird. So this is the present tense of to go. So this would be I go, you go, he, she, it goes, we go, you all go, plural, and they go. So it's eo, is, it, imus, itis, eont. Then when we move to imperfect, this is not an ending. Because remember when we were doing imperfect endings on our first conjugations, we would add that BA as a tense marker and then add our ST, mustus, unt. This is very similar. So this is very similar to that. But for go, remember ire minus the RE, I is your stem. So it becomes ibam, ibas, ibat, ibamus, ibatis, ibant. Those are your imperfect versions of to go. So I was going, you were going, he, she, it was going, we were going, you all were going, they were going. Then future. Future conjugates very similarly to first and second conjugation endings. We have ibo, ibis, ibit, ibimus, ibitus, ibunt. So we have bo, bis, bit, bimus, bitus, bunt. Just like we had bom, bos, wat, bomus, botus, bunt. So you see the similarities with those first and second conjugations when we were doing imperfect and future tense verbs. So far, so good, right? So that was your verb ire, to go. Eo, ire, ii, iwi, itum. Okay, then we are going to move down to part B on 167. This is where it gets a little weird. Hang with me. First of all, with B, thero only has one R. I don't know why they did that. They spelled it correctly in your vocab list. But here, they have listed that with 2 R's, so that threw me off too. So we are going to look at those conjugations. If to get your stem, you go to the second principal part, faire, which has 2 R's, faire. We would remove the RE, so you can see that right under there, present stem, faire. Remove the RE, your stem is fair. Then when you look in the chart right below that, you simply add your endings. Ferro, first, fert, ferrumus, fertus, ferunt. So you see the endings in bold, OST, mustus, unt. Getting your stem from faire, dropping RE, and using FER, fur, as your stem. Furro, first, fert, fermus, fertus, ferunt. Simply adding the imperfect endings. Ibam, ibas, ibat, ibamus, ibatus, ibant. So we have ferabam, ferabas, ferabat, ferabamus, ferabatus, ferabant. And then the future tense, you will be looking at, this is why they're irregular, because nothing's really the same, but you can see a pattern there. And then we have es, et, emus, etis, int. For your future endings, we have veram, veres, veret, veramus, veritas, verent. One thing I did not show you on this first one, when you look at the, remember we talked about imperatives like you love or you all love, we were dropping that RE and AMA was our stem. So a command would be ama, you love. Amate, you all love, a command. So here they're showing us that E would be a singular go, like you go, he, she, goes, and a command to go. And then ite would be your plural. So you all or they would be ite. So E, go, ite, you all go. And then down here, under ferro, you would have fair, you carry, or yeah, you carry, ferte, you all carry, plural, okay? So we've done that. And then it gets really fun. I've already put the assignments on a Facebook page there in track, so your parents will see that, and so I have that on there. The next thing I want to go through really quickly, this created a lot of humor at my house, too much humor, I guess because I'm a nerd, and I got some endings mixed up when I was conjugating a compound verb, so I may at one point share that with you of how funny that was, but it's a little, I'll wait on that. Anyway, compound verbs. Just like compound nouns in English, we take 2 single nouns, put them together, kind of changes the meaning of the word. You learned this in 1st grade probably. Dog house, pancake, cupcake, lighthouse. Taking 2 separate nouns, putting them together, and it changes the meaning of the word. But nonetheless, you have 2 separate entities. Compound verbs, on the other hand, you are not taking 2 verbs and putting them together. In the one that we're going to be looking at today, we are combining a verb and an adjective. So we know, if you look at the page, top of page 170, we are going to be looking at possum, pulse, and you can see that it looks a lot like possum. So if you need to remember it by saying possum and conjugating possum, you have at it. So the interesting thing about possum false, like I said, we are not taking 2 verbs and putting them together. We're taking a verb and an adjective. So what we are going to combine here is the verb esse, to be, that we just did a couple minutes ago. Sum esse fue futurum. we are going to take that stem from SA, the infinitive, and remove the SE. So S will be our stem. And then we are going to take the adjective poltis polte, which means to be able. So I'm just trying to keep my thoughts together so I don't mess you up, because I messed myself up doing this and it took me a while to get back to where I needed to be. So we're taking our verb to be, sum esse fue futurum, taking that second infinitive, that second principal part, the infinitive, esse. Okay, and we're going to conjugate that. So you see there in that very first chart, right below that, you see those endings? Sum es est, sumus estis sunt. Those make sense, don't they? Those are the endings for present tense esse. I am, you are, he, she, it is, we are, you all are, they are. Sum es est, sumus estis sunt. Okay. And then we move to the imperfect endings of that. You know those. I was, you were, he, she, it was, we were, you all were, they were. Eram, iras, irat, iramus, iratus, irant. And you actually have a chart for that. Whoops, I just dropped them in the chart, in the floor. So see, we're just putting an E in. See, we've got those there. Except, actually, no, I'm sorry. We don't have a chart that shows what. Here they are. Here they are. Well, we'll get to that later. That's going to be confusing. Okay, not doing that. Not doing that. Okay. So, what in the world? How do we get the pot? How do we get the pot on potsum? Okay. We're going to look at that adjective, and this is where it'd be so nice to have a whiteboard that was not backwards when I wrote on it. Anyway, hang with me really quick. You can see there in that first narrative right here, it's looking at the word poltis polte, which means to, or which means able. It's an adjective that means able to do something. So when you combine it with the verb to be, it essentially means to be able. I am able, you are able, he, she, it is able, I was able, you were able, he, she, it was able, I will be able, you will be able, he, she, it will be able. You get the pattern. Okay. So to get the stem of potis pote, we take pote, P-O-T-E, remove that E, and we're just left with P-O-T. Let me make sure that is correct. Yes, we just removed that E. So then we can conjugate it, and we have, now you'll notice that there's a pos here instead of pot in the first and singular and first person singular, first person plural. It's because whenever it's met with an ending that starts with an S, like sum or sumus, it becomes a S. So just remember it's possum to start with. Start with your possum. But anyway, it instead of being potsum and poltis and poltes and potsumus, it just remains the T in pot changes to an S when the ending starts with an S. So we have polsum, poltes, poltest, polsumus, poltestis, polsunt. Then we have polterum, polteras, polterat, polteramus, polteratus, polterant, and then future, poltero, polteros, polteret, polterimus, polteretsis, polteritis, and polterunt. I'm at 20 minutes. Okay. So I said I wasn't going to do a 20-minute video, but it happens. There's one more thing I really, really, really need to show you. Okay. So one of your exercises is asking you to, I think it's exercise 5. If you look at exercise 5 in the middle of page 170, it says conjugate the irregular verb sum, which we know what that is, sum esse fue futurum, and its compound possum in the perfect tense. So our perfect tense of sum esse fue futurum would be fue, F-U-I. Sum is our first person singular. Esse is our infinitive. Fui is the perfect tense, fui. So you're going to take fui, that's going to be our stem. I'm sorry. No, it's not. This is what confused me before. Okay, yes. We are going to do this. I put that on there and I think it fell on the floor. Here we go. Our perfect endings, perfect stem endings. So if we've got fui, so we have sum esse fui futurum. If we've got fui, F-U-I. So we are going to drop the I. So the first one would be fui. I don't think you have this in a chart. The first would be fui, fuisti, fuit, fuimus, fuistus, fuerunt. So it's going to be F-U-I, F-U-isti, F-U-it, F-U-emus, F-U-istus, F-U-E-R-E-R-U-N-T, erunt. So that is how you would change that verb of to be into a perfect tense verb. Here's where it gets weird. We are going to add possum to fui. In the second part of exercise 5, it asks you to add the compound possum in the perfect tense. So we are still going to use possum, pulse, but instead of possum, pulse, how can I explain this? Possum, pulse is a combination of esse with the potus, potes, pote, potus, pote. Okay, but we're not using esse. We are moving, as the infinitive, we are moving to the perfect. So we are going to combine fui with potus, pote. So how do we get our stem? We get our stem from potus, pote by dropping the E on pote. So our stem is going to be pult. Pult, 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 pult. Okay? Singular and plural. Then we are going to put the fue endings. Ui. So we're going to have potui, potuisti, potuit, potuimus, potuistis, potuerunt. And there, I just kind of did exercise 4 for you, or 5 for you. I don't know if I can show you this. See, this is where I goofed it all up, but it's right here. Potui, potuisti. I think this is backwards for you. Probably is backwards. It is backwards for you. Hang on. Okay, it's just gonna have to be backwards. It's just gonna have to be backwards. So hopefully you can kind of see what I'm doing here. Pult, 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 pult. Ui, uisti, uit, uemus, uistus, uerunt. Okay. All right. So I think that covers the big parts of that. I was thinking there was one more thing I was going to tell you, but I don't know what it was. Your assignment for that, of course, is work on your vocab. Oh, I know. And then you're going to do exercises 3, 4, 5, and 6 all of them. And then one additional thing I'm going to add this week, which you're like, oh, great, one more thing. I want you to come up with 5 Latin sentences based on any or all of the vocab. I mean, any, when I say all, you don't have to include all the vocab, obviously. Any chapter, any mixture of chapters, any mixture of vocab words that you feel comfortable declining and conjugating. And I'd like you to come up with 5 sentences for me, but be willing to share one of those in class. We'll put it up on the board. We'll parse it, meaning case number and gender for your nouns, and case number tense for your verbs. And we'll just have some fun with it. If you want to do silly sentences, then have at it. Just enjoy. Stay warm, stay well, stay snowy. Have a good day, guys. Bye.